Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the June 28th, 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting. The very first thing I need to have is a motion to appoint a clerk pro tem, please.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Slavin.
Second.
Okay. Motion made to appoint Mr. Slavin as clerk pro tem. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Same.
And myself, yes, 301. Thank you very much. May I have a roll call, please, Mr. Slavin?
Present from what I can see is 4 selectmen. We have one that's away, and Doreen Allen is here as the temporary town administrator.
Thank you. I'm expecting Mr. Bowen. I don't see him, but we'll see. Let's see, Mr. Chadwick, I think it's your turn to say the pledge. And I would ask the rest of you to mute so it doesn't back.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Announcements. Mr. Bessie, do you have any announcements, sir?
Nothing today.
Thank you. Mr. Chadwick, any announcements, sir?
Nothing today.
Thank you. Mr. Slavin, any announcements, sir?
A couple, I'll do it as quickly as I can. The COVID, which is out there now, is highly contagious. You end up very minor illness, but again, it is extremely contagious. Even though they say the numbers are low, they really aren't. I know that over about a 5-day period, I know 6 people that actually transferred from one to the other. Nobody is seriously ill, but please be careful. It is out there, and I can tell you right now that I'm on my 4th day of being quarantined for the same reason. The Supreme Court ruling that just came down a few days ago, I'll make a very quick statement. It's another ruling that I believe our Republican and Democratic parties are using it for their own political agendas and stuff, and it just continues to divide this country. And I have serious concerns where this country is going overall. I'm not going to say we're going to be in a civil war in 2 years, but we are making people very upset with each other in all different ways, and it's becoming very uncomfortable. Last, the Wareham Community Associates. It's an organization that's been around since the 1920s. They every year have a lobster bake, and whatever money they raise is their only fundraiser goes to, on the average of 6 scholarships to Wareham students every year. This year we run it again. It will be at Zecco Marine. It will be on July 20th, about 6 o'clock at night. And the tickets are available over at the Legacy Insurance on Main Street next to Mama Mary's. And also, I think it's next door to El Marachi Restaurant. And you can pick up tickets there from 8:30 to 4:30. And because of the increase in prices everywhere, especially lobsters, the tickets are going up to $85 this year. Thank you very much. And we are limited to 160 tickets. We sell out fairly quickly.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. I only have 2 announcements. The appointing authority met last week, and Sherry Quirk was reappointed as an associate member of the planning board, and Joseph R. Smith, otherwise known as Jody, was reappointed for a 3-year term to the Finance Committee. Our first order of business is a proclamation for Ms. Shaver Hood. Good evening, Ms. Shaver Hood. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'd like to read you something, and then, of course, I am going to pass you something magically under. Okay. All right, great. This is a proclamation for Dr. Kimberly Shaver Hood. Whereas Dr. Kimberly Shaver Hood began working for Wareham Public Schools August 1st, 2013. Whereas Dr. Shaver Hood holds a bachelor degree from Franklin University and 3 master's degrees, one each from Butler University, Widener University, and Indiana University. Whereas she also holds a doctorate from Northeastern University. Whereas she was instrumental in getting the International Baccalaureate program instituted at Wareham High School, Whereas she handled the unexpected challenge of educating our students remotely, as well as later in person during the pandemic. Whereas she made sure all children received Chromebooks so that remote learning could be instituted immediately. Whereas she provided guidance throughout the process of envisioning and then building a new elementary school. Whereas she has dedicated her career to education. Whereas she is a devoted mother and grandmother, is an avid traveler, loves to bake and play pickleball. For your years of loyal and dedicated service to the Wareham Public Schools as our superintendent, we greatly appreciate your assistance, guidance, and outstanding leadership. Therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen, commend you as you leave and we wish, as you retire, and we wish you good health and happiness in your future endeavors. In witness, therefore, we, the Wareham Board of Selectmen, have hereunto set our hands and caused the official seal of the town of Wareham to be affixed this 28th day of June 2020. Now I'm going to pass you the certificate, Dr. Shaverhood. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it. I've been truly honored and blessed to work with some absolutely wonderful people, caring people, and I just appreciate, and I will miss working in Wareham.
Thank you very much. We also have a little gift. This is from many members of the community, and I'm going to pass this to you. Please open it at your leisure. Whoops, I dropped it. Hold on. Sorry, I dropped it. So here you go. And please open it at your leisure and enjoy it.
I will. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
again, I appreciate all your help and your collaboration. And if there's ever anything I can do, please don't hesitate. You will find me on the pickleball courts.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let the record show that Mr. Bowen arrived approximately 7:04, I'm guessing. And we understand that WCTV may be having some broadcasting problems. Okay, I'm going to ask that the following people be let into the meeting. Mr. Hurd, Ms. Kinneberg, Sharon Boyer, and I think that's it for the moment. Okay. Next on the agenda, Mr. Slavin.
Okay, next we have appointments, reappointments, interviews. The first one I have is for the Board of Health, and it's for Kathy or Catherine Finney, which is a reappointment. And is she here to speak or not?
No, I didn't invite any of the reappointments, sir.
Okay, you let me know as we go along.
Yep.
The motion is to basically reappoint Catherine Finney of 10 Galt Road, West Wareham, to the Board of Health for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2025.
Is a
I'll second that motion.
motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion to reappoint Ms. Finney? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
and myself, yes, 400. Thank you. Next, Mr. Slavin.
Next, we have on the Cemetery Commissioners, we have Susan Atkins from 96 Gibbs Ave, Wareham, Mass, to be a member of the Cemetery Commission for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2023.
2025, sir. Remember, we.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm reading off the wrong part of my note. 2025.
So the motion is for reappointment to expire June 30th, 2025. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion on the motion? No? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
and myself, yes, 400. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Conservation Commission. We have a Nicole Curto.
Yes,
One
hang on a second. I think Nicole, if you're Nicole Lacurdo, raise your hand, please, so we can let you into the meeting. The person I can see in the audience. Skip to the next one, please, Mr. Slavin go to the Council on Aging, please?
Yeah, she's going from an associate to a full member, just so you know.
Right, I know, but I believe she's here, and I know that Mr. Bessie had some questions that he wanted to ask her.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have Council on Aging. First one, these terms are all to expire June 30th, 2025. The first one is Sharon Boyer, 2 Cameron Street, Buzzards Bay, Mass. Motion to appoint her to the Council on Aging, again, to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2025.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Ms. Boyer is here. Ms. Boyer, do you choose to address the board? And if not, that's fine. And if you do, Ms. Boyer is a new appointee. Those of us who've been around a little bit know her from all of her involvement in the town, but would you choose to speak to us, Ms. Boyer?
Certainly. I just happened to have the opportunity for time. I've been heavily involved in scouting, and now my camp is now closed. So I decided to spend my time that I have with the seniors, which I'm one also. So I'm in my crowd.
Thank you. Do any of you have any questions of Ms. Boyer?
This is
Seeing none,
Howard.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I have no question. I've known Sharon for years, and she's always been a great asset to the town. Thank you very much for stepping up.
Thank you. So I have a motion and a second to appoint Ms. Boyer to a term to expire June 30th, 2025. Hearing no further discussion, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
myself, yes, 400. The other two you can do in bulk, Mr. Slavin,
Okay.
because they're
Next.
reappointments.
Yep. Next, we have, again, on the Council on Aging, I have the first one is Sharon Frank, 76 Crown Drive, West Wareham, to continue being a member of the Council on Aging for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2025. And then I also have Janet Wilson, 10 Ferry Hill Road, West Wareham, Mass. Council on Aging for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. These are both reappointments for people who are currently serving. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
and myself, yes, 400. Before any of the appointees go away, I just want to repeat our new procedure. In order for you to be sworn in, you must present to the Board of Selectmen's office your ethics certificate, as well as your certification that you have made yourself familiar with the open meeting law. When you have provided those 2 documents to our office, they will release the appointment form, and then you will be able to take all of those forms down to the town clerk's office. Ms. Boyer, thank you. You can leave the meeting. Mr. White, you can have her leave the meeting. I don't
want-
see Mr.
you-
Lester.
Do you want to go back to the conservation? Not yet?
No,
Okay.
because I don't see Mr. Lester here, and I don't see Ms. Locurdo. Mr. Best, you were the individual who wanted to question Ms. Locurdo on her moving up from an associate to a full member. What would you like to do, sir?
I mean, as with anybody that's newly coming on, I would like the opportunity to have them all before us before we make any decisions on moving up. I mean, I think I have some pertinent questions that I'd like to ask specifically of Ms. Locurdo
Okay.
about conservation. And I think that until I wouldn't vote to appoint her without at least being able to ask the question. So if the board wants to move forward with appointing her, I mean, that's fine. I'll just abstain from the vote, but
No, I think your point is very well taken. We will put her on the agenda of July 12th. Thank you, Mr. Bessie. So go to Minot Forest, Mr. Slavin, please.
Okay. Next up, Minor Forest Committee. We have a appointment for Linda Sharp, 15 3rd Street, Onset, Mass. As a member of the Minor Forest Committee for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2027.
No, 2025. You're looking at the wrong sheet.
No,
The,
I
yeah,
didn't update my other one.
the
Never mind.
committee is set up to have 7-year appointments.
Yep.
No. Yeah,
5-year.
5-year appointments. Ms. Scharf has asked for a 3-year appointment, and so that is what you see before you is 2025. So may I have a second to that motion, please?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. So she is a reappointment to the Minot Forest Committee, June 30th, 2025. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
and myself, yes, thank you. I don't see Mr. Lester here, so we will skip that one and we will ask him to appear at another meeting. If you're here, Mr. Lester, please raise your hand so we can let you into the meeting. And if you're here, Nicole Lacurto, please raise your hand so that we can let you into the meeting. Go ahead, Mr. Slavin.
Okay, next we have for the Open Space Committee, Sandra Slavin, 36 Oak Street, Wareham, Mass. To be on the Open Space Committee for a term to expire June 30th, 2025.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. This is a reappointment. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
myself, yes, 400. Thank you very much. Next, we have 2 road commissioners, and they have different terms based on the request of the people who are being.
Yes, I'll do Mr. Smith first. Make a motion to appoint Howard Smith, 1 Old Plate Drive, West Wareham, to the Road Commissioners term to expire no later than June 30th, 2023, per his request.
Per his request. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you. It's a shortened term at his request. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin? Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you. Mr. Slavin?
Okay, second, Marie Gregg, 171 Onset Ave, Onset, Mass. To be a member of the Road Commissioners for a term to expire no later than June 30th. I think this one should be 2025, I believe.
Yes, that's correct. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to turn to expire 2025, which is the normal term. Any further discussion on that motion? It's a reappointment. Yes, Mr. Slavin.
I'm probably going to abstain. The reason being, we've had for at least 7 years or more, constant problems with parking between businesses in that area there, between a couple family groups, etc. I've tried for 6 or 7 years to help resolve the issue of the parking. It had no success. And I have a concern. I've checked. Marie does abstain when there's issues come up with a business that there's a conflict with, which is very good. But I just want to make sure they understand that, because there's some serious conflict now with the town getting involved as well, that anything comes up in the road commissioners, that she definitely has to not only abstain, but she should leave the room when this thing is being discussed.
Thank you, Mr. Slavin. I have a motion and a second to reappoint. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
No.
Mr. Chadwick?
Is there a way to, like Mr. Slavin just said, is there a way to table this until we can get some more research on this?
Certainly. With you, would you withdraw your second, please?
Yes, I'll second.
Would you
With
withdraw your
my
motion?
second.
Yes. Would you withdraw your motion, Mr. Slavin?
Actually, no. The reason being is I spoke with.
Yes or no?
No,
Thank you.
I spoke with the.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
We have a motion, but I don't have a second. Is there a second to the motion to appoint? Hearing none, the motion dies, and we will bring it up on the, no, Mr. Slavin, we will bring it up on the 12th of July.
Okay.
Thank you. Wareham Affordable Housing Trust, please.
Okay. Next on the list is Heidi Churchill, 68 Mayflower Ridge Road, Wareham, Mass. To go in the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2024. This group, I guess, has a 2-year term term only.
Do you have two?
You want them
app-
both? You want
Yes.
both at the same time?
Yes,
And
please.
the other one is Sandra Slavin, 36 Oak Street, Wareham, Mass. To go with the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2024.
Is there a second to that motion for those two individuals?
Second,
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the motion to reappoint both of those individuals? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
And myself, yes, 400. Reappointment for the Board of Appeals, please.
Okay, next. So this is a 5-year term,
Yes,
not the usual 3. That's Jim Akabuchi, 398 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. Be reappointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2027.
is there a second to that motion?
Second,
Thank you. I hear. Is there any further discussion on the motion to reappoint Mr. Yakabachi?
so just a quick question in the matter of the term time. Is it always 5 years
Yes,
for Board of
Yes,
Appeals?
on this particular board, yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure with a bunch of different dates floating around, so.
Yeah, no, we have several different dates floating around. Some of them are at the request of the individual being appointed, and some of them are the actual terms.
Okay,
Thank you for asking the question. Is there any further discussion on that motion to appoint Mr. Yakabachi? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
yes.
Myself, yes, 400. The next one would be
Next.
a reappointment.
Troy Larson, 2013, 2013th Ave, Wareham, Mass. To be reappointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals as an associate member for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2023. And just for the public, associates are appointed for 1 year only at a time. Thank you.
Is there a motion a second to that motion?
Second,
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the motion to reappoint Mr. Larson? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes,
And myself, yes, 400. Now, we have two candidates for one position on the Community Preservation Committee. Both of the individuals who have applied are here this evening. I'm going to ask that Mr. Hurd, who is an applicant, to address the board. I will then give you an opportunity to ask him any question. I would remind you that any question that you ask him, you must ask any other applicant. Is that clearly understood, gentlemen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Hurd. Mr. Hurd,
he's muted.
Mr. Hurd, I can't see you or hear you. There you go. Okay,
How can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir. I don't think we need to see you if that's giving you trouble.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No,
Would you introduce yourself, sir, and tell us why you would like to join this committee?
yes, my name is David Hurd, and I've been in Wareham most of my life at various functions in the summer, and I've been a full-time resident for the last 13 years here. I've served on the Finance Committee for the last 9 years, and I've been chair at various times. I've also served on other boards for the Finance Committee, such as Capital Planning. And I've been doing that. I have seen where monies go in town, where they're needed, what various departments are requiring, and what some of the limitations on the availability of funding through our normal tax and budgeting process. I've also been, over that 9 years, privy to and a member reviewing all the presentations by the CPC that were approved and were led up to town meeting. So I'm aware of what sort of processes are involved through CPC. I believe that I have a good background and recognize that the town has very deliberate needs that CPC can provide for. And that's one of the functions that we have. Right now, in 2022, the income from CPC was $1.3 million. That's money that can be spent to the benefit of the town and its citizens, and I hope to contribute to that.
Thank you. Mr. Bessie, do you have any questions of Mr. Hurd?
I mean, I like what I hear. I like what I see. I mean, I've followed the finance committee and the things that they've done in this. And I think that Mr. Hurd would be a good fit, and I'll just wait to hear from Ms. Kinnebauer. But everything that he said, I agree with, and yeah.
Okay. Do any of you have any questions of Mr. Hurd?
No.
Neither do I. Mr. Hurd, thank you. I will ask Mr. White to remove you from the meeting. You're going to be back in the audience. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies,
Thank
for the
you.
opportunity.
Thank you. Ms. Kinnenberg, do you choose to address this board for your application for reappointment?
Yes, thank you. I don't know why my picture's not coming up, but can you hear me?
Yes. Could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, I'm Joan Kinneberg. I live in Onset. I've been a resident here for over 25 years, full-time resident. Here we go, start my video. As far as background, I have an MBA and I've worked in global world-class medical device manufacturing organizations with responsibility for business units for over 25 years. So I have profit and loss responsibility, have worked with financial management, have strategic and operations management experience, as well as project planning, both management and leadership skills, I think that are beneficial to this committee. On April 27th, the CPC voted unanimously to reappoint me to this committee. A year ago, I was elected unanimously to be the chair of this committee. And over the past year, I've worked really hard, spent hundreds of hours to improve processes and programs for this committee. And I'll just give you an example of 4 items. Number one, I developed a tracking system. So for 20 years that CPA funding has been in existence, projects have not been tracked. And so I put a system in place so that open projects can be reported to the town as to status, as well as to the state. Number two, I created a grant agreement. Most municipalities in the state that participate in CPA have an agreement between the town, the CPC, and the grant recipient to set expectations. So I reviewed 25 to 30 agreements, compiled a pretty detailed document that was then reviewed by the CPC in 4 review sessions and is now with Mr. Sullivan for review. And again, that's for setting expectations between the town and the grant recipients. Number 3, I helped to improve record retention. So for 20 years, CPC records have been on paper and they've been kept in file boxes in one of the members' homes. For the 12 years of open projects, I electronically scanned all of the files and went back and scanned 5 years of closed files. There's still 15 years left to do. There's still quite a bit of work to do, but record retention for CPC has been started. And all of those documents are kept with the chair, the CPC clerk and treasurer, and with Wareham IT, so that we have a good record retention system for CPC. And then finally, I updated the webpage. People often ask about CPC and about CPA funding. So there's information there about what is CPA funding now. There are open projects, there are closed projects. It's updated before every town meeting so that taxpayers understand what will be coming from CPC on the warrant. And there are documents and links. So I think the things that I've done, I've worked hard on this committee to improve efficiency and effectiveness. And I think that with my skill set and with my work ethic and the things that I hope to see coming from this committee as far as better communications, working with Tricia Wirtz on her platform to get more people involved in CPC and in submitting grants to use our CPC monies, that I would like to work on that if reappointed. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Do any of you gentlemen have any questions of Ms. Kinneberg?
No.
Thank you. Ms. Kinneberg or Mr. White, I'll ask you to thank you, Ms. Kinneberg, for appearing this evening. Mr. White, I'll ask you to remove her from the meeting and put her back in the audience. Thank you very much. I will accept a motion. You've heard from 2 applicants.
I'll make a motion to accept David Hurd as the full-time member. That's of the open position for Community Preservation Committee.
Is there a
I'll second.
motion made, seconded?
Term to expire June 30th, 2025.
Motion made and seconded to appoint Mr. Hurd to the position ending June 30th, 2025. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 400. It is Mr. Hurd. Thank you very much, both of you, for applying. We have a hearing at 7:35, but I want to bounce down to the request from Sally Morrison for the dog park. Are you here, Miss Morrison? If you are, please raise your hand. And if you are here for Parkwood, Suzanne Burke, if you're here, raise your hand, please, if we have any questions of you. I don't think they're here. I don't see them.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Slavin.
All right. Let me do the first one here. This is for the dog park affiliation of Wareham. It has to do with Youth Creative Arts Contest. It's going to be, actually, it doesn't give me the actual address here. It basically is going to be for signs that they'll put out in certain areas for August. Looks like August 26th at the Gleason Y, and other signs going from July 6th to August 10th. And they've basically listed the different areas where they're going to be, which complies with the forms. And the basic wording is unleash the possibilities, visual and library youth arts contest, info and registration, warehamdogpark.org. The signs will be 18 inches by 24 inches. Make a motion that we approve the use of the town property for that.
Is there a second? Motion made and seconded. I will say Mr. Slavin and I, as well as Ms. Cassandra, have looked at the documentation. It's all in order. I have a motion and a second to approve. I will go. Are there any questions? I will go for a roll call vote to approve. Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
And myself, yes, 400. And the next one, we got 2 more minutes, quickie.
Okay, next one is for
Parkwood Beach.
Parkwood Beach. It's the name of the event is Community Get Together Parkwood Beach Association. They do this every year right around July 4th. The event is July 3rd. It has all the requirements for details, site survey, the layup of the road and how it's going to be blocked off, etc. It has full sign off everywhere, insurance for the town, etc. So I'd make a motion that we will approve Parkwood Community being able to block off a portion of the Parkwood Beach Road for this event for July 3rd.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you. This actually is an extension of 1 hour on each end of the event. We approved it previously, but they wanted to add an hour in the front and an hour in the back for cleanup.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion on the motion to approve? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
And myself, yes. We have 1 more minute. Let's see, what can we do quickly? Blah, 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 blah. I just want to note under 8B that you all have received the copies of the explanations of the different categories on the warrants that you sign. I think it's important for the public to know that that's part of your education as new selectmen, no offense meant. But that you have in fact had conversations with the accounting department and you are fully aware of what it is that you are signing for. So I just want to make that point clear to the public. It is now 7:35. Mr. Slavin, I will accept a motion to open a hearing, please.
Okay, we're going to open a hearing for the seasonal common vic alcoholic license for Little Harbor Country Club, doing business as Little Harbor Country Club. Kenneth DeRizio, manager to the Sterling, transferring to the Sterling Golf Management Company. Kevin Osgood is the new manager, 1 Little Harbor Road, Wareham, Mass. On the provisions of Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws for the year 2022.
May I have a second to his motion to open the hearing?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to open the hearing. Is there any discussion on opening the hearing? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
and myself, yes. The hearing is now open. We have before us Mr. Kevin Osgood. And do you have anybody else with you, Mr. Osgood, for this evening?
Just myself.
Okay, great. Thank you. Could you introduce yourself and explain what it is that you're looking for, sir?
Yes, my name is Kevin Osgood, owner of Sterling Golf Management, operator at Little Harbor Golf Course. And we are in the process of requesting a transfer of the existing seasonal all alcohol license with the same operations as been in the past at Little Harbor Golf Course, Little Harbor Country Club, and just a transfer of the existing license.
Thank you, sir. Do any of you gentlemen have any questions of Mr. Osgood? Hearing none. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on behalf of the applicant? Please raise your hand. Seeing nobody. Is there anyone who would like to speak against the application? Please raise your hand. I see nobody. Okay, I just will state for the record that you were given 30 one-day liquor licenses to tide you over from the time that you took over the operation of the course to the time that hopefully this license kicks in. So thank you very much. I have a motion and a second may I have a motion to close the hearing, please?
Motion.
So made. Second.
Motion made and seconded to close the hearing. Is there any discussion on the motion to close the hearing? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote to close the hearing. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Myself, yes. The hearing is now closed. I will now accept a motion.
Okay. I will make a motion to transfer the existing common vic alcoholic beverage license from Little Harbor Country Club to the manager to the Sterling Golf Management Inc. Too many paces in front of me here. Kevin Osgood, who is the manager, 1 Little Harbor Road, Wareham, Mass.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion? This is a transfer of a license. Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Mr. Osgood, all of the information has been, you brought everything to us that we needed.
Yes.
Could you check with the office tomorrow morning and check with Miss Slaney, and we will proceed with haste to see if we can get this license moved over for you. Thank you very much, sir, and
Yes.
have a nice evening.
Will do. Thank you very much for your help. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good night. Mr. Slavin, now we're going.
Madam Chair, are we going to bypass the 7:15 and the 7:25 hearings?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. The paperwork was not complete on these applications. So I informed the applicant that until the paperwork is complete, I cannot have a hearing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the applicant knows, and it has been postponed until is it the 22nd or the 23rd of July? Because it has to be advertised and
Yep.
Start all over again, unfortunately.
Okay, next up, we would have, I think it's 7D. That's the Lucky Coat Brewing Company for a common vic license of the provision of Chapter 140 of the Mass General Laws.
Thank you. Mr. Peabody, I believe, is here to speak on behalf of the application. Good evening, Mr. Peabody. How are you?
Good evening. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing
Good.
well.
Great. Do you care to address this board?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We have our tap room for less than a year, but we've been looking to try to expand into just having a very little food option. So I heard this is the first step to do. I'm currently talking to the health department about the rest of that. We're hoping to do just something very basic. So just people can have like a little hot snack while they drink some beer and
Okay. Okay. You didn't identify yourself. I'm sorry, for the record.
Oh.
Could you state your name? I'm sorry. That was my fault.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Kendall Peabody, Lucky Go Brewing.
Thank you. Do any of you have any questions of the gentleman? His paperwork was missing an updated business certificate. Were you able to provide that, Mr. Peabody, to our office? You're muted, sir. I can't hear you.
I wasn't aware of business certificate. I think we just got one last year, didn't we?
Yeah, but I know what I needed you to do. I need you to, on the business certificate, put the residence address of each of the individuals on the document. If you don't mind doing that tomorrow at the office, that would be fine.
No problem at all.
Thank you. That we would not hold up the granting of the license for that. Everything else, I believe, has been signed off. So I will accept. Oh, do any of you have any questions of Mr. Peabody? Did I?
Yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry, Alan.
Okay,
You can go and then I'll go.
Mr. Slavin, go ahead.
I'm looking at all the paperwork. I don't really have the drawing of the layout of where the food is going to be stored, prepared, etc. I think that the Board of Health may or may not have signed off, but if they haven't decided what they're going to do, I don't know how the Board of Health can sign off on the actual storage preparation of the food.
They have signed off. I have all of the inspections from health, fire, tax. All of the paperwork is in order.
I know, but again, what Kendall just mentioned about working what they're going to do, it's not final. So I'm a little concerned that, what they're going to do has not been finally decided how they're going to do it. The other piece is, and I think I asked Mr. Buckland to double check with the inspectional services, when they add food to the mix, it may have to require an increase in parking spaces. I don't think it's going to trigger a site plan review, but I'm not sure our new director of inspectional services realize that or not. Sorry to make life confusing for everybody.
Okay.
So to address that so we do actually have a plan. Sorry, I kind of made it open-ended. We have a concrete plan. It's like all plans, it evolves as we learn things. But the basic strategy is we've been talking with Nickel Brothers about preparing the food offsite, and which allow us to essentially bring it in and leave it in our cooler sealed with a date. And we're going to put it on a heat warmer that allow us to put it up to the health regulation standards and, serve it from there, right? So for example, this will be like bowls of chili, pulled pork, very, very basic items. They'll go right from the walk-in cooler. We have the, 3-bay sink. The actual two things will be right behind the bar.
Okay, Mr. Peabody, is that what the health department signed off on? Was you getting the food from somebody else and bringing it on site in containers?
Yeah, so I'm still working on so when I talked to the health department, they told me to go for go do the common vic first, then do the health, then do the health health certificate, for the actual serve safe food portion.
Right. Let me try the question in a different way. The plan that you just outlined, right?
Yeah.
You explained that to the health department and they signed off on it. They have signed off on it. Is that correct? Yes, they have signed off on it. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what you proposed to them.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Mr. Slavin, you still have a quizzical look.
No, I'll just do a double check with Mr. McDonald, our health inspector, just to make sure. I don't want to have a problem for Kendall or for the public. That's all I'm concerned about.
I mean, if you want, I don't mind postponing and talking to them again or whatever. I mean, I'm in no rush. If whatever you guys like to do.
I'm okay with this. We'll just double check. If there's an issue, we'll get back to you. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
I mean, I did,
Mr.
but
Bessie, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I did, but I think Mr. Slavin jumped in and asked the questions. I was also curious about the plan and whatnot, but it sounds like it's been answered, and we'll just hope to see that everything is what it is and move forward, and look forward to having them be able to do what they want to do to help expand their business.
Excellent. I have one more question. I don't think you answered Mr. Slavin about the parking, Mr. Peabody.
I was not aware of that. I mean, no one ever mentioned that to me. I didn't see it in the code. I could be mistaken.
Okay. Could you just explore that on a continued basis? Because if you are going to be, it's clear that you were a very busy place already and a very popular place already, and congratulations, that's great. But we want to make sure that you stay within the lines, if you know what I mean, in terms of, oh, that was a terrible pun. Oh, that was so bad. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean that.
That was good.
Your
Yeah,
English teacher side's coming out.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Anyway, I will entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion to go ahead with Lucky Goat Brewing LLC, 379 Main Street, Wareham, for a common vic license on the provisions of Chapter 140 of the Massachusetts General Law.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? No, I will just say, Mr. Peabody, if you wouldn't mind visiting the office tomorrow, and we'll get the little things, the little bits and pieces straightened out, if you don't mind.
No.
Is there any further discussion on the motion to approve? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
myself, yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Peabody. Good luck and congratulations on starting a very attractive, obviously, and busy new business. We appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night. Mr. Slavin?
Okay, going down the list. We
E,
go into town.
got to go to E, the Elks.
Yes, and the Elks is going to be an application for a secondhand dealer's license for the Elks.
Yep. All of the paperwork is in order on that one, except that it needs the fire department inspectional services and the insurance binder. So if you would like to make the motion, I don't think there's anybody here.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and grant them the secondhand license pending the signing of the different departments that have to sign off.
As well as the receipt of the insurance binder.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
No.
Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. So this is subject to some hang-ups, if you will. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
and myself, yes, 400. And I'm going to ask that the next item be presented by Ms. Alan England, which is the budget transfers. I sent a copy to all of you earlier today. We need to, well, she'll explain it. Good evening, Ms. Alan England. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Could you explain this part of what you need to get done tonight?
Yes, we have a few year-end budget transfers, $10,000 from the workers' comp account to professional services, legal services. That was for union contract negotiations and the sale of the Everett School. We have a budget transfer of $2,338 from workers' comp to inspectional services. When David Requena, the Director of Inspections, left or resigned, we used temporary contractors to keep the office open until we hired a full-time building inspector. They were paid out of expenses, so we need to move that money to cover the vendor contracts. We have a transfer of $14,761 from workers' comp to Board of Health. When Robert Ethia retired, there was a buyout. $1,487 from workers' comp to the assessors. There was a contractual obligation that we missed when we were setting the original budget last year. So that's a transfer in. Finally, $2,569 from workers' comp to the FinCom. The extra town meeting report caused the budget to go over. Those are the transfers in the amount of $31,355 into those various accounts from workers' comp.
Thank you. I believe you read into the record the second item. I believe you said $2,338. I think it's $2,538.
I apologize, $2,538.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any questions on this request to transfer? No, hearing none, I will ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget request, transfer request as provided by Doreen Allen England.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the budget transfers. Again, these need to be done before year end, so these will be provided to the accounting department tomorrow and to be processed. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
and myself, yes, 400. Thank you. Okay, the next item, let me just quickly explain that some paperwork that was done way back when didn't get approved by the ABCC. Ms. Slaney in our office has been working with the ABCC to get the certification updated and corrected. And that basically is what you're looking at under 8C. So you're going back and you're okaying paperwork that has come and gone, if you will. So Mr. Slavin, may I have a motion, sir?
Make a motion that we accept the corrected paperwork that we have to submit to ABCC for actually involves a change of management, a change of the name of the business, because they basically what they did is they merged with the New Bedford Elks, and the New Bedford Elks basically was failing. Unfortunately, it took from 2015 to now to get this straightened out.
Is there a second to that
Second.
motion? Thank you. My explanation was more polite, but that's okay. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
No.
Then I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
and myself, yes, thank you very much. Mr. Slavin, the next one is the donation, sir.
We have a donation of $50 to the Wareham Free Library in memory of, I think that's the Lois Romanowski from the Hamilton Beach Association for $50.
Thank you. Is there a motion, second to his motion to accept?
I'll second.
Thank you. Generous donation in memory of an individual. Any further discussion on the motion? I will
No.
go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
myself, yes, thank you very much. 400. Mr. Slavin, we have no 48-hour business, and we will now go to the Assistant Town Administrator's report, please, Ms. Allen England.
Yes. A few things we just wanted to bring you up to speed with. The town, through the Planning and Community Development Department, has been awarded the Destination Development Grant by the Office of Travel and Tourism in the amount of $250,000 to be used in the restoration of the band shell and onset. We would like to thank Representative Susan Gifford, the Selectmen, the OBA, and others for their letters of support in obtaining this grant. Construction on the band shell is coming along nicely. We hope it to be complete shortly. So just a quick thank you for that grant. On some construction news, invitations for bids were opened on June 22nd for roof replacement for Hammond, the Wareham Free Library, and the multi-service. We are pleased that pricing came in significantly lower than it anticipated. So we're working currently with 3 different contractors on contracts to finalize the pricing on those. And we hope to have those roofs completed by the end of the calendar year. Just a few things on HR. The Mayflower Municipal Health Group recently recognized Barbara Marcosa, our town's benefit coordinator, as one of the best all-around wellness coordinators for her hard work in fiscal 2022. Barbara has worked tirelessly organizing health and wellness programs for Wareham's employees. She's initiated programs such as nutrition counseling, brown bag lunch incentives, hydration challenges, step challenges. We've also received a number of grants from Mayflower Municipal for sunscreen and sunblock for our outdoor employees. That was very useful. So I just wanted to give Barbara a good job on that. Lastly, in the last few months, HR has been really focusing on ramping up our training. So we've had a driving simulator come in. All our police, EMS, water pollution control, and municipal maintenance have been trained in a simulator. The hopes is to cut down on property damage and personal injury of our employees. So we've also been working on training for discrimination and harassment prevention. All of our police have been trained, our lieutenant paramedics, and a number of our other staff, town employees have attended the training. We're hoping to bring the training to every department and some selectmen. Alan. But that's quick, just update on what's going on.
Thank
in
you.
Administration. Yep.
I just would ask the board if you think it would be appropriate for the Board of Selectmen to write a letter of congratulations to Ms. Marcosa.
Definitely.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'll get that done, and I'll chat with you, Ms. Alan England, about the details again. Thanks.
Sure. Yep.
Let's see, liaison and initiative reports. Mr. Bessie.
Nothing this week.
Thank you. Mr. Chadwick.
Nothing this week.
Thank you. Mr. Slavin.
Several different organizations met in the past week, but nothing really to report. Right now, we're waiting for the governor to sign the budget, get that done between the House and Senate, and see what's going to happen. The other big piece is they haven't officially signed the extension of being able to meet by Zoom and different meetings as far as the elections and also town meetings, et cetera. It's all there. It's just waiting to get signed and approved. And my understanding is going to go into 2023, it looks like. So people are asking about it. So it looks like it is going to get extended. And there's a huge slug of money that's coming through to the state and to the counties. The biggest problem in the state is they don't know how to handle it, what to do with it. It's kind of embarrassing right now, but hopefully the next 30 to 60 days, we'll get that straightened out. We can start applying for grants. That's it for me.
Thank you. I have nothing to report that I'm aware of. I already did it under the under announcements. So, Mr. Slavin, the minutes.
Okay, I have no bills. Next on the minutes, motion to accept the minutes of May 3rd, 2022. Just as note, I was not present, but I went ahead and reviewed the minutes and went through and signed the form required so I can vote on it. Matter of fact, the only ones that can vote on this one would be myself and Mrs. Whiteside. Everybody else was former selectmen and no longer with us.
Okay, but let's see, Miss Wertz signed a certification that she watched the meeting the same way you did.
But she's not here.
Mr. Bowen. The
Sorry.
only 3 people who can, I need to postpone it, is that correct?
Well, Madam Chairman, it's up to you. you can approve minutes. Anyone can approve minutes. There's no requirement that they be there to vote on the approval. I'm aware of situations where boards have neglected to prepare minutes and have had to go back years to reconstruct the minutes and then approve them, when people who were on the boards that didn't do the minutes, some of them were dead, but they can get approved. The board can vote to approve them. So it's really up to you as to how you want to handle it. If you want to wait, you can wait. If you want to vote to approve them, all you're saying is that they're approved. You're not attesting to the authenticity of the contents.
Thank you. As far as I'm concerned, the certification from the two individuals, well, it's up to you. What would you like to do? Would you like to postpone it until the 12th? We can do that.
Not really, because Mr. Bowen has given us a legal opinion that the members that are present here can all vote.
Okay. Is your motion to accept that May 3rd?
Yes.
Is there a
I'll second
second? Okay, motion made and seconded to approve May 3rd. Any further discussion on that motion? Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yeah,
Okay, and myself, yes, 400. Thank you, Mr. Bowen. And the next one, Mr. Slavin?
Next one is the meeting of June 14th. Make a motion to accept the minutes. Everybody that's here was present.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the vote to approve the minutes of June 14th? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
yes.
And myself, yes, 400. They have been approved. Is there any further business to come before this astute body?
No.
Mr. Slavin?
Before I make my usual motion at the end, I'd like to apologize a little bit. I'm a little tired, run down today, so I'm off my game a little bit, and I apologize for being a little bit off.
Thank
And
you.
with that, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn is not debatable. Therefore, I will go for a roll call vote, please. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Good night, Wareham. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. We are adjourned at 8:02.